Honestly, like I like making clothes, and fashion's kind of bullshit, but clothing it can be really interesting. But I'm in two industries, the food industry and the clothing industry, and the trick is to appeal to people's stomachs and appeal to their vanity, and that's like, they're pretty much handing you their wallet, so it works. It's a smart industry to be in if you want to still be creative and come up with something that's innovative and new, but, still absorb people's cash. Rosemary taught one of the most important classes, actually, which was visual like merchandising, which is window displays and store floor setup. I mean, it's really important because you have to know who your target market is. You have to know who you're selling to, what they want, and how to best reel them in. I mean, she took us around to look at different window displays all over Vancouver, and we got to actually do window displays in stores, and that was like a really good experience. And she's obviously working for H&M, very familiar with that whole part of the industry, and it was good to learn from someone who's experienced, because learning about how to get what you want out of people without telling them what you want is a sneaky trade. So yeah. Portfolio is obviously the most important part of anybody in the creative industry has to have one, just because you can't go up there for a job or to show people what you do and not have any physical evidence of you having experience in that industry. So having a basic coverage of all of your work, or at least some of the information that you've created and what you've gone through and your steps in developing, and it just gives potential employers a sense of who you are. I mean, in the words of Anna Del Russo, fashion is an extension of your own personality. I mean, that's just for fashion, but any art, anything you create is a part of you, and your portfolio is the best way to show what part of you that is and how it works. So. Not gonna support VCAD here. It's a really shit school, run really poorly by people who look like they came straight out of the 80s, but a formal education is extremely valuable. I mean, my grandmother didn't have a formal education, and she taught herself everything she knows about fashion and figured things out that I was never even taught, drafted all her patterns by hand, but she's still there are things she doesn't know. She doesn't know what a flat felt seam is, or a French seam, or a fisheye dart. I mean, there are things that you have to know to understand shape and fit and fabric, and learning how to work with the materials you're given is, you can learn it over time, but it's a lot easier and quicker to be taught in a couple years. Plus you get a diploma. A year and a half ago, Vancouver was voted the 5th worst city in the world, which is embarrassing, but I blame Lululemon. Honestly, the industry here is pretty cool. I mean, the whole fashion scene is it's really hip, which is sort of unfortunate because there are regions to be explored that aren't just hip. But I was recently in New York, and that was just, I was comparing Vancouver to New York all the time when I came back, and we're not too bad. We got some good looking people wearing interesting clothes. There's a lot of the Fluevog, Steve Madden, Jeffrey Campbell thing, but there are people who are avant-garde and do what they can with very little. I mean, it's an expensive city to live in. You gotta be able to hunt around. But I think people are doing good for what they have here. Keep cooking, keep taking people's money. I don't know. I mean, I've always been selling clothes since I was maybe 16. Ever since I could make them, people were like, oh, give me some of this and give me some of that. And I was like, alright, give me money. So just keep making clothes until somebody realizes that I'm freaking awesome and gives me a job. But until then, just clothing people and feeding people.